Hello everybody, Scotty PF may be here. Welcome back for Higurashi no Naku Korani Onikakushi. In the last episode, our character made his game plan. They are trying to kill us, but we are not going to let them get away with it as easily as they want. But we just found out that Oishi-san, who seems like our only ally, may just be the messenger of Oyashiro-sama. If that curse is real, and if the perpetrators right now of the murders are telling the truth. Because that was what the hint we were given was. And if it's a hint, usually it's supposed to be helpful. So we're going to continue and see where this goes. This was the first time I'd ever woken up with such clarity. It was 5:59, just a moment before my alarm would go off. I was amazed at the prediction of my internal clock. I had made preparations for the next day of school before I went to bed. I changed quickly and descended to the deserted lower floor. It appeared that my mom was still asleep. Neither breakfast nor lunch was ready. Yesterday, I just unilaterally declared that I would be leaving early today, so it couldn't be helped. I slathered jam on my bread and topped it with some instant cocoa. Just as if I was finishing breakfast, Mom rose groggily from her slumber. "My, Keiichi, you're up early? Is there some sort of cool event?" "Not really." Answering bluntly, I picked up my bag Answering bluntly, I picked up my bag and stood after stuffing 2 slices of bread down my throat. I fucking hate reading. "You leaving already? What about lunch?" "Don't want it." "Well, wait. If you don't wait a bit, I can't make it." I'm just gonna make sure this is doing what it's supposed to be. Yep. Okay. If I waited for her to make my lunch, then it would end up being the same time as usual. If I did that, it would raise the chances of me running into Rena and Mion on the way. And Mion on the way. Yes, from today onwards, I was going to school alone. "I'll be fine for today." "Then what will you do for lunch?" "I'll slip out and buy some bread or something at the store." "Really? Then here's some lunch money. Be sure to bring back the receipt." I took the 1,000 yen bill from Mom and slipped into my pocket. "It's pretty early. Is Rena-chan up this early as well?" "No, just me." "Did you tell Rena-chan that you're leaving early?" "I had no reason to tell her every little detail now, do I?" Finding it difficult answering the onslaught of questions, I made an annoyed face. "Tell Rena that I went ahead when she comes." "Hey, Keiichi, wait!" It's not that I didn't trust my parents. I just couldn't rely on them. They couldn't help me. I could only hope that they didn't get involved. It was safer that way. My mom's annoying voice was cut off by the slam of the door. For the first time since I moved here, I headed down the road to school alone. Oh god, I'm so scared. Up until now, I had always walked down on the same path at the same time each day. So I always met with the same people at the same places. But today was different. I didn't meet the people I would normally, and nobody was at the places where I would have normally met them. Of course, Rena wasn't in the spot where we usually met, and there wasn't anyone at the spot where we would have met up with Mion. The length of the tree shadows, in the morning air, and the brightness of the sun. It's a completely different type of morning from what I was used to. Without a doubt, it felt strange. It left me with the impression that I had destroyed the illusion Harinamizawa had set up for me before I had enough time to prepare all the props needed to deceive me. "My, Keiichi-kun, you're up early today. Is everyone meeting early this morning?" The person who called out to me was someone we always passed by as we were walking along the edge of the fields. Their name was, I forgot. Of course, this wasn't the spot where we usually passed each other. "I woke up early today, so I thought it would be a good change of pace. That's all." I threw out a random excuse. "What about Rena-chan and Mion-chan? Are you by yourself today?" "Yeah, well, I was being asked the same type of questions my mom was asking, so I answered them in the same uninteresting, vague manner. It wasn't funny being asked where Rena was each time I passed by someone, but maybe it was to be expected. It was because for so long she was always together, so we were always so together, so amicably. Even I felt that if I let my guard down, we could still be fine. Stop it, Keiichi. Don't think about that anymore. You spent all day yesterday thinking about how dangerous it was to go soft, didn't you? Beep beep! A car horn blared from out of nowhere. Even though I was walking, lost in thought, that horn was way too close. A mechanic behemoth bared at me from behind, catching me completely off guard. By the time I turned around, the van's hugging chassis was almost on top of me. I had seen plenty of cars veer to the opposite shoulder to avoid pedestrians, but this car was doing the opposite. It felt like there was somebody on the opposite shoulder of the van was swerving in my direction to avoid them. That blissfully ignorant train of thought delayed me from realizing something much, much more important. That large mass was hurling right at me. Was it going to hit me? The inside of my head instantly flooded with the painfully cold liquid. In that moment, the scene before me, no, time itself had frozen. In the silence of that frozen moment, I compared the van so close that I had no way to dodge it, and my body, the upper half, twisted awkwardly in order to look behind me. There was no way I could dive out of the way in my current position. If I lost focus now, the moment would unpause, and I would probably be plowed over, caught in this silly pose. I bent my upper body over towards the patio by the side of the river. If I bent far enough, I'd get away with just being hit by the side view mirror. As soon as that thought crossed my mind, the temporal status was shattered by the deafening sound of the van. The side mirror struck my shoulder, sending me spinning off through the air like a top, locked in my contorted position. Kaplash! Sent tumbling through the air, I crashed into the muddy paddy by the side of the road. My entire body was soiled and drenched, but the choice I had made in that instant was unmistakably for the best. I was covered in mud, but the alternative was being hit by the car. I was the closest I could be to being unscathed. Rising out of the paddy, I had enough in me to glare over at the stopping van and yell profanities at the driver. I'm not sure if he was able to see me, but the van span off suddenly. Wait, damn it! This was that they call a hit and run, wasn't it? I couldn't help but continue yelling out profanities. The disgrace from being covered in mud hurt me more than any physical wound. I slogged through the muddy paddy and made my way back into the road. This is a crime, goddammit. Shit, I'll track you down and sue you! If I go looking for a van, I'm sure to find it in this little village. The path The path I was on had rice paddies on either side, and had become so narrow that one car would barely fit through. It wasn't a place you could tear full speed down in a car, let alone pass by pedestrians. Not only was it a narrow road, but the car just now was closer to the side of my road than the other when it passed me. When I cursed, I was desperately trying to suppress the dark cloud rolling up within me. That wasn't just a hit and run. That car just now was trying to run me over, wasn't it? Thinking back, I did feel like there had been a car creeping up on me slowly for a while. That's right. As soon as I'd parted ways with that person taking a walk, I had a feeling the whole time. If it had wanted to pass me, then I had no shortage of chances. Normally, it would have felt suspicious and turned around sooner. But I was lost in thought and now kicking myself for not realizing it was there sooner. And then when the path became narrow, when there was no one else in sight, he floored it. If I had hesitated for even a moment, the result would have been no laughing matter. As the adrenaline rush from nearly being run over subsided, the realization of just how terrifying this preceding events were sunk in. There was no doubt about it. That van was intentionally trying to hit me. Man, everyone's after us, man. Now I thought we were fucking hell. A cold, vicious sweat seeped from my scalp and slid down my back before dribbling off. I struggled to avoid falling into a panic. There was still the possibility that this really was just an accident. Calm down, Keiichi. But also don't be so naive, Keiichi. Being that lax will get you killed next time. You need to always be on your toes. Don't give them any openings. If my enemy was really out to kill me, then next time they would use a more reliable method. If that time came and I was acting like I was just now, I was being covered in mud, and the price I had to pay for was my own naivete. Covered in mud but without injury. Not even a sprain. I guess this was what you would call the silver lining. I began walking again, this time cautiously. I wouldn't even show a hint of carelessness. I had suspected only Ren and the others up until now. No, it was because I had suspected them that I believed there were no other enemies. Oishi-san had said so, didn't he? There were possibilities that all the families of the village were involved. Was I really mired so deeply in the situation that I had no choice but to try and carry on as usual? Wouldn't it be safest just to hold myself up in my house? But the moment I abandoned my regular routine, everyone around me would abandon theirs as well. That was just too horrifying of a thought. I recall the tales of Oishi-san the tales Oishi-san told me of when Hinamizawa was still called Onikakushi. A frightening tale of the entire village of demons hunting their prey, surrounding them and eating them alive. One must not interfere with the demons. One must pretend to not see it. One must pretend not to see it. The enemy were numerous, all of the village families. The villagers, with their unwavering faith in the curse, would do nothing to help me. The strong sudden flash of sunshine made me slightly dizzy. I had no idea what was going on anymore. When I suspected it was the work of man, I would have catch a glimpse of Ueshiro-sama's curse. And when I suspected it was Ueshiro-sama's curse, someone would poke their head out. What was coincident? What was intentional? Who was my enemy? Who was just a bystander? No, what I truly wanted to know was, how did I end up with this proverbial bullseye painted on my back? Eventually, an answer in a form I could understand will soon appear. I don't care when that will happen, because until then, I cannot die. That alone fueled my resolve to fight and will keep me alive. I remembered seeing the metal bat at the gym storage shed, but there was a padlock on the door, barring my entry. At the very least, I wanted to get my hands on it before everyone else arrived at school. I circled around the school grounds impatiently. But all I could find were things like pieces of lumber, nothing that I could bring into the classroom easily. Then I had an epiphany. I should search inside the classroom. If it was something in the classroom to begin with, then there wouldn't be a problem. I could tell that everyone's indoor shoes were still in their lockers. Good thing I came early. Nobody else was here yet. I wondered, what could I find in the classroom? I didn't think I could find an especially effective weapon like a bat, but it couldn't be helped at this point. Until the gym storage shed was open, I needed to find a substitute. A lingering hint of naivete whispered that there were no way I was going to get attacked at school. But soft ideas would no longer protect me. To think that they were slowly making their way into parts of my life that I had once thought impenetrable. In the worst cases, my own house might not be safe anymore. That was an incredibly frightening thought. But I believe that not considered the worst case scenario would have been even more frightening. Anyways, I will survive. I will survive! Nah, sorry, I had to make that. Come on. So as long as I lived, then I will definitely be able to escape this labyrinth of nonsense. Definitely. Where's my mouse? There it is. What are you doing over there? My exploration of the classroom came to an impasse. That much was to be expected. There was no way there would be anything that could be a weapon in the classroom. In case of emergency, there was probably nothing I could do but swing my own chair around. My gaze landed on the lockers that came to be just used for personal storage. The locker that Mion used to store her pile of games was among them. There was one for each person in the class, all lined up. Of course, there was one for me as well. Oh yeah, there was supposed to still be a tracksuit in my locker. Seeing me covered in mud would be strange. I should go change later. But first, I need a weapon. If one of my classmates came, it would be hard to rummage through all the lockers. I slowly began opening lockers one by one. They were mostly just filled with things like gym clothes, personal items, and umbrellas. An umbrella. If I couldn't find anything better, then this would have to be my weapon. I was about to give up on finding anything decent when I opened a locker that held exactly what I wanted. It was without a doubt a metal bat. It was well worn and pretty beaten up, but there was no doubt it was usable. In that locker, with the reek of mold, there also hung a baseball uniform. It was probably the locker of a student in a Pee-wee league or something like that. If that was the case, then he probably asked for it back. At that time, I could hear the voices of the children scuffling their way noisily from the hallways. Amongst them, I could make out Rika-chan and Satoko. Good morning. My, you're quite early this morning, Keiichi-san. I nonchalantly hid the bat I was holding behind my back. What's with your outfit? You're covered in mud! Yeah, I had a little incident. I'm going to change now, so cut me some slack. With that said, I began taking off my clothes, so Toko began to blush as I expected her to. Changing in front of a lady? Have you no tact at all? I would think the lady staring at someone who was changing would be the one lacking in tact. There was no changing room, so the boys, so just deal with it. As Satoko feigned disgust, she went into the hall, still blushing. Conversely, Rika-chan continued to stare at me, preparing to change. If Rika-chan is lady as well, then I don't think it would be appropriate for you to be watching. I'm not a lady, so it's fine. She deliberately pouted and looked at me with upturned eyes. Then starting now, you're a lady. If I'm a lady, then I suppose I must. Rika-chan, appearing to be satisfied with being considered a lady, made her way to join Satoko in the hallway. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, Rika-chan stopped suddenly and turned back toward me. Are you going to start playing baseball? It seemed that Rika-chan had noticed the bat. Yeah, just, you know. I was feeling a bit out of shape, so I thought I just tried practicing my swing. I think it's so wonderful you're taking care of your health. She was talking like an old lady despite her appearance. After saying that, Rika-chan started to leave again, but stopped and looked back at me once more. Please don't lose the bat. It seemed that she already knew I took it out of someone's locker. There was no name on the locker door. I didn't know whose bat it was, but I would be borrowing it until they complained. It wouldn't be for long until the gym storage door was open. After quickly changing into the tracksuit, I checked the time. I still had plenty of time before class because I came so early. I took the bat in one hand and went out to the schoolyard. That was, of course, to practice my swing. I needed to make it known I would always have a bat on me so I could practice my swing. As at some point, the sunlight had become even stronger. Disregarding my classmates as they made their way to school, I took my position in the shadow of the school building. I wasn't the academic type, and I wasn't much of an athlete either. I might get muscle pain if I suddenly started swinging. I should at least start out with some warm-ups. I doubt anyone would think of doing something out of the ordinary, which was the exact opposite of my actual mental state. I gripped the bat and swung lightly. The bat was by no means light. The weight would make it a reliable weapon when I needed it to be. Of course, I could only pray the moment I needed it to use it a weapon would never come. Just carrying it around could deter attacks against me. At least, that's what I hoped. Huh? Kei-chan? What are you doing? Being bombarded with such a hysterical voice, I jumped. Whoa, Keiichi-kun, are you on the baseball team? The baseball team? It was Rena and Mion. How surprised to hear you went off ahead. What are you doing, Kei-chan? Can't you tell by looking? I'm practicing my swing for the championship. You can say it's part of my diet if you want. Diet? Kei-chan? Are you really get that fat? Bet you didn't know. I actually have a beer belly. It's plump and it jiggles. Plump and jiggles. Rena, you don't have to imagine something weird like that. To disrupt Rena from imagining something that vulgar, I've ruffled her hair messily. Well then, hope you make it to regionals at least. This old man will cheer you on. Regionally speaking, it seems that Oshima High is pretty strong. They say their southpaw, Kamaeda-kun, is amazing. Good luck. Seems they made me out as some kind of local prodigy, but oh well. Well, if I really did make it to the championship, it would be a cinch. After all, I'd be the pitcher and catcher. I'd pitch the ball, then run past the ball I just threw and catch it over being the catcher in a burst of super incredible explosive speed. I laughed dryly at the ludicrous image. Coming back to my senses, I smashed the bat against the ground. Damn it. What am I laughing at? I pounded the ground over and over. With each impact, the reverberation traveling through the bat stung my hands. If they make me smile like that, I'll... Ugh. Don't allow anyone close to me. Don't trust anyone, no matter how many times I tell myself that. If they make me smile like that, I'll... Ugh. I already knew quite well that they were demons dwelling in my smiling friends. But I just couldn't believe it. Did that kind of split personality really exist? Like how Rena confessed to the doctor, were they simply being possessed by Oishiro-sama? In other words, did a supernatural being like Oishiro-sama really exist and it was possessing everyone to try and kill me? Yeah, that would be wonderful. If only everyone were actually my friends all along and everything was all just Oishiro-sama's fault. You damned fool, Keiichi Mabara. Come on now. I yelled out, drawing out all the power from the pit of my stomach and raised the bat violently into the air. Stop being so soft! As I screamed out with all my might, I beat the metal bat into the ground over and over. With every impact, my weakness was being beaten down. Smash! Forget. Smash! Don't be soft! Smash! Know your enemy. Smash! Like hell I'll let them kill me! My shoulders heaving up down from my ragged breathing. I heard the first bell just as I calmed down. School. I gasped with the sudden realization. That was the final bell. As I felt the tension drain from me, I let out a deep breath. My mind was in a muddled state for much of the entire day. I didn't feel like I was aware, but I didn't feel like I was asleep either. I couldn't say it felt especially comfortable, but I felt a kind of relief from the sanctity of the school. Part of my daily life had yet to be violated. How long would I have to keep on living like this? I could only grit my teeth and bear with it, and at this living hell slowly gnawing at me. Keiichi-kun, come on! It's club time! The sound of Rena's voice brought me back to my senses. Come on, Kei-chan, stop spacing out! Bring your desk! Everyone was moving the desk together as usual. That's right, it was happy fun club time. But I had no intention of taking part. I half-hastily stuffed the contacts on my desk into my bag as I prepared to go home. It was a weak-handed gesture to avoid having to actually say it. I'll be going home now. What's this, Kei-chan? You're planning on going home right away again? Mion sounded quite disappointed. I'm just not in the mood. Could you just let me be for a while? The tone of the words that spilled from my mouth matched Mion's disapproved glare. It felt like the air in the room had dried out. Satoko looked like she was about to say something, but perhaps situated by the mood, she swallowed her words and stayed silent. Nobody said a thing. I took that to mean that I could leave if I wanted. But the collective gaze of the four of them, like the tiny pins used to mount an insect in the display, held me in place. Rena was the one who cut through the heavy mood. Keiichi-kun, you just didn't like playing with girls, I guess? She said it in such a melancholic tone that it sent a wave of pain bracing through my heart. If this pain was going to kill me, I'd want it to be the soft part of me. That could still feel pain. I tore up my chest, violently tearing out the pins that held me in place. That's not it at all. I'll only be hurting myself by saying anything more, so I swallowed my words. Cutting things off there, I turned away and exited the room. They didn't speak a word to me as I left. Damn, I've hardened myself. Oh, I miss the days when things were fun! It was a long, dull trip back home, but I didn't lose focus. I firmly squeezed the grip of the bat, which was already soggy from sweat. Realizing that, I wiped it down with a sleeve. If something were to happen, I wouldn't want it to be slippery. Since this morning, I've become especially sensitive to the presence of cars. Even while walking, my ears prickle up and sought out threatening sounds and presences that could be closing in. And that was why I could hear it. Without a doubt, there were footsteps. Those footsteps had matched up perfectly in me for a while. From what I could sense, it was just one person. But I had no intention of being careless. Oh no! I'm so scared already without even knowing. Do they intend to follow me like that car this morning until they were in a good location to assault me? Then it wasn't a good idea to keep walking like this. I stopped walking and looked back. The wooded path crowded with trees responded with a silence if there was nobody there was to begin with. But I wouldn't be fooled. I was certain footsteps were following me. And just as I stopped, the footsteps stopped as well. Meaning the person following me wanted to keep their distance. That was without a question, proof that I was their target. I held my breath, waiting for that presence to panic and start moving again. The trees rustled with the sounds of the wind. The Higurashi also joined in the dissonant chorus, trying to throw my focus into disarray. Had 5 minutes passed? Or had I been like this for a whole 30 minutes? It was so hard to breathe that I might have suffocated. It seemed I would be the first one to panic. Without a doubt, he was lurking in the shade of that tree with bated breath. Then I'd make the first move. I fished the grip on the bat. I raised it up to my shoulder and be ready to swing at any time. Hey! I know you're there! With all my might, I screamed at whoever was hiding in the shade of the trees. But the presence of the shade didn't budge. Until the moment I found them, they had no intention of revealing themselves. I know already! I know you're there! I screamed out angrily at them, but even still, they didn't move at all. Then I'll go over there myself. Oh, this is a bad idea. With all due vigilance, I approached step by step, just looking behind me. I can't even. I'm fucking spooked. I'm spooked. Stepping into the tree's shadow, I saw a human figure there. That figure was curled up like a small animal. Rena. When she realized I had found her expression softened. She seemed apologetic, but wasn't going to speak a word. Did you have some business with me? I wouldn't accept that silence and screamed the question at her. Not really, it's just, Rena was in a panic with tears welling up in her eyes. But it was obvious she had been following me. What about the club? Since you're not, I'm not. That shouldn't matter. Don't mind me and just play. But I'm just worried about you. Thinking about how I'd been acting up until now, it wasn't hard to imagine that my behavior could have been perceived as strange. So Rena was concerned. At a quick glance, that's how it would seem. But I wasn't going to let my guard down that easily. I ain't no retard. I know what's going on. They trying to kill me, boy. I need to be careful. Even if that was really the case, she still wouldn't have to do something like try to tail me. She should have called out to me when I was leaving and gone out right with me. But Rena didn't do that. She kept her distance from me and matched my walking speed. On top of that, she matched the sound of her footsteps and deviously tried to hide her presence from me. Then, after she realized I noticed she was there, she held her breath and tried hiding from me. She wore a timid expression that would force one to take pity on her, and without a doubt, she was tailing me. Stop following me. How? Still glaring at Rena, I continued walking onwards. After I started walking for a bit, she ignored my command and began walking again, so I yelled at her once more. I told you not to follow me! Hey, but my house is in the same direction! Then walk ahead of me. I'll start walking once I can't see you anymore. I moved out of the way and waved my bat violently and urged her to forward. I'd like to go home together with you. Making a pitiful expression, she immediately squeaked out the words in a voice she knew would cut into my heart. That agitated me to no end. I knew it was a lie. If you wanted to go home together, then you should have called out to me. Now you're just blurting out random lies. I'm sorry! I'm sorry! It seemed that seething anger within me was written all over my face. Even without me saying anything, Rena had understood what I was feeling inside. If you get it, then go! I swung the bat, urging her to walk again. Rena looked back and forth between me and the bat and started walking hesitantly, then stopped again. Go on, then! Hurry! I'm going! So please stop with the bat. It's scary. Rena guarded herself while pointing at me holding the bat. Fuck, man. It must be hard being Keiichi. I hope you guys know. I can be an asshole a lot, very much of the time. And my friends know I'm pretty much one of the biggest assholes of life. But I'm a really nice person when it comes to heart. And this shit, I cuts me. Because she was, especially the females, she was really nice to me. She treated me like I was a friend. And even when she tried to kill me, after that, when all that stuff just calmed down, it's like I can see her inside of me. I didn't mean like that. I can see my soul, my heart inside of her. And if I were to see my friend acting like that, I'd be confused as fuck. My friend's losing his shit. This girl's, it sucks if she's not crazy and it's really Yashiro-sama. I'm hoping it's just some damn curse. But if it isn't, the naivete of Earth can fuck a human up, man. The life of a Canadian, being too kind to even be able to handle it, you know? I lowered the bat, but still guardedly opened the way for her. Go. There's no problem now, is there? There's nothing else she could protest. She passed by me timidly as to not set me off. As I watched her pass by, she stopped completely after having barely moved at all. Hey, don't stop. Then a powerful gust blew past us, berating my face with dust. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. The dust got into my eyes and clouded my vision. While I rubbed my eyes with my left hand, I swung blindly with the bat to my right, protecting the small opening I had presented. But Rena didn't even try to attack during that opening. Attack me? No, she hasn't budged an inch. I could tell from the sound of her fluttering skirt in the wind. As her skirt settled, so did the silence. At that moment, the voice inside of me merely warned me of impending danger. I was caught by surprise. The smell of the air had changed. Without even realizing it, the air around me suddenly felt like a calamity was about to befall me. Oh no. It was like the air had suddenly become invisible. Concrete, like Rena and I were locked into space. Rena didn't move an inch. Also unable to move, I stared at her back. Rena was the first to break the silence. Oh no. Fuck. Instantly, she altered her stance. I felt like I just had witnessed her shift from Rena into the other person who looks like Rena. Fuck, I'm just gonna do this just in case there's some scary shit, because, oh god, I can't handle things. I know I'm weak. But the voice was the one I knew well, which filled me with a kind of a bewildering pity. Carelessly, I felt relief upon hearing that pitiful voice. Well, excuse me, but can I ask you something? Too shy to even turn around, Rena squeezed her voice out desperately. As she trembled. What? Well, why do you have a bat, I wonder? The question Rena asked was by no means unexpected. I can carry whatever I want. But you didn't have one up until today. Why so suddenly? It's alright if I decide to do something suddenly, isn't it? Is it strange to have a bat? Well, because Keiichi, you're not the kind of person to play baseball. It's weird. I couldn't tell what kind of answer she was looking for, and I was getting tired of her answering her. I just suddenly got the urge to play baseball. Is that so weird? It's weird, she answered instantly, and that annoyed me slightly. I just suddenly wanted to play baseball, and I wanted to practice my swing, so I'm carrying around a bat. What's strange about bat? Strange. Weird. Definitely. Why is Keiichi-kun also? Your ramblings are annoying me. Is it that strange for me to have an interest in sports? I tried to sound a bit more threatening to end the conversation. I just noticed something. Strange, weird, definitely. Why is Keiichi-kun also? Also! That's a big word. Also! That's an important word. That... Satoshi! It's fucking Satoshi. That room? That fucking room? The locker? That was Satoshi's, wasn't it? It's Satoshi's. That's it. That baseball bat I'm holding on to is Satoshi's. He had the same idea as us. Oh, God. I tried to sound a bit more to the conversation, to end the conversation. More threatening to end the conversation. Until my suspicions about Rena were cleared, if I had no obligation to answer the question. I'm sorry. Don't get so angry. Rena still didn't turn around and spat out words of apology one after the next. Just one last thing. Tell me one last thing. I don't feel like talking anymore. Hurry up and go. I yelled loudly at her, causing her to flinch like she had been struck. Seeing her in such a pathetic state caused my heart to ache sorely. Even though she was afraid, she stubbornly kept herself from moving. Before I was able to threaten her again, Rena asked her final question. Why is that the bat the same too? I can hear the music being scary in the headphones because they're loud enough for me to hear. What did she mean by the bat was the same? I had no idea what she was talking about. What are you saying? I mean, why is even the bat the same? I don't understand what you mean at all. Say it clearly. Even still, Rena didn't turn around. After inhaling deeply, she screamed. I mean, why is the bat the same as Satoshi-kun's? Satoshi being... Huh? I knew it. I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. I told you I fucking knew it. Upon hearing that name out of the blue, I became dumbfounded for a brief moment. By Satoshi, did she mean the student who transferred out last year? No, that couldn't be. Rena had tried to cover up saying she transferred, so that he transferred, but Oishi-san told me quite clearly that he went missing. He was a student who sat at my seat until last year. He was believed to have been deemed away by Yoshiro-sama's curse. I didn't know about the details about his disappearance. The aunt he lived with, who was killed the night of the Onikakushi by a drug addict. But not long after that, he suddenly vanished and was now missing. That Satoshi and I were... What? My gaze fell to the bat in my hands. Could it be? Satoshi Hojo. It was a bit difficult to see, but that's what was written on the white tape at the end of the bat. I see. So this was Satoshi's bat. Oh. This was Satoshi's bat. Since nobody was using it, I borrowed it. That's not a problem, is it? That's not it! The way Rena said that made it seem like this bat was that something should never be touched. Like it was some sort of offering at the shrine or a memento of the deceased. I could only stand there, perplexed and unable to respond. Rena continued speaking without waiting for a reply. Why is it that you're doing the exact same Satoshi-kun did when it happened to him? Rena was talking about more than just the bat belonging to Satoshi. It was the same with Satoshi-kun. He joined a baseball team, but he really didn't like baseball. What does that have to do with me? Satoshi-kun also suddenly started walking around with a bat one day. He joined a team, but he wasn't the type to play sports. What about it? I closed my mouth before I could even say that out loud. Listen carefully, Keiichi. Rena's trying to tell us something important. Satoshi also one day came to school all by himself all of a sudden. Just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly started practicing his swing. Just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly began carrying the bat around with him. Just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly what? Rena had swallowed her words. Rena sudden silence brought a hush back to the surrounding area. It was then I could finally digest the contents of the entire conversation. She was saying my chain of actions was exactly the same as Satoshi's. Was that the meaning of this? Up until now, I'd forgotten all about Satoshi. I had never paid much thought to him in the first place. Not only that, I didn't even know if anything of what he'd done. My actions today should have been my own creation, after all the planning I had done. But they have been the exact same as Satoshi's? Then Satoshi, no, more importantly, if both Satoshi and I acted the same, then there were a really good possibility that what happened after would be the same. Rena, that day, what happened to Satoshi? Rena knew. She knew what became of Satoshi. No, forget about what happened to the guy in the past. Rena knew what was going to happen to me. Answer me, Rena! Satoshi, what happened to him? With that, I grabbed Rena's shoulder violently and forcefully turned her around to face me. Oh no, she's gonna have the scary face, ain't she? As I faced her, I felt the jolt travel through my entire body. I told you, Keiichi-kun. I was the person that I didn't know. At least, it definitely wasn't the Rena Ryugu I'd been talking to up until now. The voice just now didn't have a trace of the trembling or emotion that I had had before. The amount of regret that I felt for turning her around was so carelessly was unsurpassed. That gaze that pierced like a cold needle, the smile on her face that poked an image of having been carved out by a knife. Chills went down my spine. My mind froze under a layer of rime. Both of Rena's eyes pierced through mine, leaving me unable to look away, as if to remind me of the fear that time before, Rena brought her face close to mine, so close that I could feel her breath. Her face had filled my entire field of vision. Then, her sharply shaped lips grew even sharper, like a curve of a crescent moon. She grinned. I told you, Keiichi-kun. After a short pause, Rena repeated the same words again. Satoshi-kun, you see, out. Transferred meaning what? What Rena meant must have been some new definition of transfer that I have previously not been aware of. My throat and lips dried. I couldn't even acknowledge what I had just heard. All I could do was swallow my own saliva. It would seem that Rena saw that as a nod. She pulled her gaze back and spryly stepped back 2-3 paces. As she did, my legs gave out and fell to my knees pathetically. Rena and me on my knees underneath her emotionless smile. That had to be a very odd sight indeed. Seeing me in my pathetic state, she neither scoffed at me nor held out her hand. But I could neither stand nor escape her gaze shooting through my eyes. There was undoubtedly a metal bat in my hand, but right now it was useless to me. It was like a fly caught in her web. Heavy sweat beaded all over my body. I could feel it dripping from my skin. But you won't, will you, Keiichi-kun? Rena finally released me from that cage of time after what felt like an eternity. But her question was missing something important, and was incredibly vague. Once again I swallowed hard, urging her on. To do what? What did she not want me to do? Transfer. What? Oh, God. That's fucking scary. Is this the end of the chapter? Please. Oh, it's not yet! Oh my God! Satoshi and I had what? Okay, I'm gonna put my headphones back on, because the scary part with Rena is over. How's this chapter not over yet? Satoshi and I had what? All my well-planned actions throughout the day turned out to be nothing more than a reenactment of what Satoshi had done. Satoshi, had he really been in the same situation as I was now? The friends he had gotten along with had changed suddenly, and for no reason, at least none that I had noticed, planned to kill him. Then, fearing for his life as I am, he got it back to protect himself and carried it around every day to practice his swing. And then one day, suddenly, he transferred. My blood went cold, causing a prickly sensation to course my veins. Starting near my head, it radiated outwards from the top of my head to the soles of my feet, chilling every part of me without recourse. What did she mean by transfer? What did she mean by transfer? Was Satoshi still at wherever he transferred out to? Was he the only one who would be able to understand me? Would he be able to tell me why it all ended up like this? More importantly, where did he transfer to? What did she mean by transfer? What did she mean by transfer? Before I knew it, I was at the front door. The frigid knob was hard to turn. Was nobody home? It wasn't that odd of an occurrence. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the single key attached to my Seal 4 keychain. I stepped into the entryway. Just as I was about to take off my shoes, a chill ran down my spine. Oh my fucking God, that scared me so bad. I had a chill down my spine too. I'm gonna just stick to a chill ran down my spine. I just took off the headphones because I'm scared. Someone had entered right behind me. Like a classmate messing around, standing up right against my back. Who was it? It's Mion, isn't it? Fucking Mion, isn't it? Come on. You're kidding, right? It had to be my imagination. Logically speaking, it was impossible for someone to be able to hide their presence within my personal space all the way through the door. But there was undoubtedly someone behind me. Hey now, Keiichi. How do you know they're there even though they're behind you? Because I could hear the sound of flowing hair. There's no other reason I'd hear that sound. That was the presence. It's definitely Mion, I'm calling it, because I could hear the sound of them blinking. Keiichi Mabara, there's no way you could hear that. It was mostly instinct that anything else was warning me of that presence. Common sense was telling me that it was just my imagination. It was just my imagination. There was nobody behind me. I began to erase the mental image of an eerie figure standing behind me. Why did the whole screen go white? Damn. I asked myself if there was nobody, then what was I feeling? As an uncomfortable sensation crawled up my spine. Actually, wouldn't it be better if there was somebody there? If there was nobody, then you turned around, would you be able to accept that? I'd be able to answer all those questions just by looking behind me. But I didn't have enough courage to even do that simple task. Oh, right. I could try speaking to them. The person behind me might answer me. It was a random thought. I didn't care how it went about, just as long as I didn't have to turn around. If I had calmed down and thought about it, I would have known that it wouldn't have solved anything. Who is it? I spoke in such a hoarse, broken voice that I couldn't believe it was my own. I could almost feel them contemplating their response. I felt it. There was no way I should be able to do that. Calm down, Keiichi. It's all in your head. That time, I was certain I heard it. As if hesitantly trying to answer my inquiry, I was certain I could hear the sound of somebody inhaling. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it clearly. It was a girl. A young girl. I didn't know whose, but a tiny speck of courage in me, however reckless it was, inspired a primal yet fitting solution to current predicament and a scream. All the force of my body released from my lungs and through my throat, seizing all thought process in my head. Suppressing all my thoughts and emotions, I began to collapse like a house of cards, somehow managing to twist my body and look back as I did so. Who is it? It's Mion, right? It was definitely there. Right there. Somebody was there. Until that moment, I turned around until I brought the area behind me into a field of vision. They were definitely there. Falling face up, my eyes traced the remnants of the presence suspending in the empty space. It couldn't be. They were invisible. They looked like they weren't there, but they were actually still standing there. As I screamed, all the emotions I was holding back burst free into a violent wave. However, I was decidedly calm as my emotion dam collapsed. The turbulent wave of pent-up emotions was skillfully diverted into a torrent of aggression. The emotion was definitely required to extricate myself from a bizarre situation happening right in front of me. In my state, heighteningly lucidly, I entrusted my body to the fury. The metal bat held firm in my right hand as drawn there by a magnet. A mid-level sweep would be hardest to attack dodge. I remember reading somewhere like that from a book, from a swordsmanship or something. Ah! I brandished my will to fight. The afterimage of the amalgamation of metal flashes swung from left to right, beating against the entryway. The bat slammed right into the wall. The tip rebounded violently. Very calmly, I transferred the force of the rebound to the sweep to the left. The door of the shoe cupboard was split into pieces. The two swings whipped into the empty space, but they seemed to have great psychological impact on the enemy. I could feel the panic emanating from the space. The attack wasn't the only thing required. I retracted the back of the cupboard and embedded in it, screamed as I spun my entire body around in a large arc. Rah! My screams shook the air, imbuing my ferocious swing with even more destructive power. Crack. Without mercy or restraint, my violent strike with certainly face behind it splattered at the top of the cupboard. None of my attacks struck the enemy, but my ferocity had certainly seemed to impact them. Breathing heavily, my entire body soaked in sweat. The invisible enemy there, but not there, dispersed. I breathed heavily, my body soaked in sweat. The invisible enemy, there but not there, dispersed. When I was certain the enemy had retreated, I locked the front door and lashed the chain. There's no way I had it only faint retreat and was now inside my house. Once again, I channeled my aggression and searched the house for the presence. But it was gone. I had succeeded in fending it off. At that moment, the tension drained from my body and I let out a deep sigh of relief. All the emotions that I had been holding back chaotically merged together and began to flood out. A hodgepodge of fear, accomplishment, and disbelief all mixed together and began to flow through my body. Unable to deal with each individual feeling, I beat them all back with strong exhaustion. Even in this moment, I remained composed. After checking that all the doors throughout the house were locked, I went up to my room and onto the second floor and closed the curtains. I straightened my back and tilted my head back a little. I straightened my back and tilted my head back a little. After clearing my mind of all the idle thoughts, I managed to calm down even more. What was that in front of the door? There was definitely something there. Thinking about it, maybe it was just an apparition. I dreamt up in a confused state, but I didn't really think that was the case. Calm down, Keiichi, my brother. Compose yourself. But no matter how calmly I thought about it, what just happened wasn't a figment of my imagination. It was obviously a supernatural phenomenon, and just without a doubt, something was behind me. It wasn't some sort of illusion. I saw it amidst my confusion and disorientation. Proof? I had just one piece. When I asked, "Who is it?" they inhaled as if they were about to answer. That sound clearly reached my ears. That situation I was in right now was still unclear. Either I'd been possessed by the supernatural phenomenon known as Oyashiro-sama's curse, or it was the ruse by the villagers who believed in it and were imitating it. Either way, their motives were unclear. The roundabout way it had been done was also still a mystery. If it was perpetrated by humans, that would mean admitting that it was Rena and the rest of them doing it, but that would be solvable. Oishi-san and the rest of the police would surely arrest my enemy. But if it was a manifestation of Oyashiro-sama's curse, I wonder what would happen. Oishi-san very clearly declared that curses didn't exist. At that time, those words were pretty dependable, but as things were right now, with the rising possibility that the perpetrators were not human, he suddenly seemed quite unreliable. If I told Oishi-san this was the work of Oyashiro-sama's curse, what would happen? I couldn't imagine his reaction, but it would go without question that a void would expand rapidly between myself and Oishi-san. With me having so few allies to begin with, and not having to be able to confidently declare whether or not this was the curse or not, there was no merit to doing that. I'd better keep the facts of what just happened at the doorway to myself. It would be better if I didn't add what happened here to the memo behind the clock. There was still the ever so slight possibility that I was actually confused when I thought it was that I was composed, and I was just going berserk in the entryway. How wonderful would that be if it really just happened? I would be able to refute Oyashiro-sama's curse. But if I denied Oyashiro-sama's curse, then that would mean admitting that Ren and the rest were the perpetrators. If I said that Ren and the rest weren't the perpetrators, then that would mean believing in Oyashiro-sama's curse. By denying both of the issues, I would be admitting that I myself was losing it. The three options from which I couldn't choose became a trilemma of sorts. They mixed together and formed a whirlpool in my mind, making my head spin. Once again, I straightened myself and leaned my head back slightly to cool myself down. Calm down, Keiichi. Accept what has happened actually is reality. Stop thinking of anything more than that. But I couldn't help but think of it. How wonderful it would be if it just turned out I was just delirious, and everything up until now was a figment of my imagination. Oyashiro-sama's curse wouldn't exist, and I would still be bestest buddies with Ren and the rest. I would have to be crazy. That was the first time in my life I'd ever wished for such a thing. The phone rang noisily downstairs. Generally, there were no calls for me, so I never really answered the phone much. But since my parents weren't there, I had no choice. I squirmed off the bed and went downstairs. Hello, this is the Maibara residence. Keiichi, this is Mom. I intuitionally had a bad feeling about this. It was because I thought she was going to ask me to go out and buy some things. So I took the initiative. What? I don't mind having instant noodles for dinner. There's still a lot of them. The other day we went out as a family and bought a whole case of cup noodles. I wanted to get a bunch of different kinds actually, but they were few since the individual packs were expensive, so instead I got a whole case of the mega-sized pork and bone and ginger flavored ones I liked. But my parents don't like strong flavors and didn't touch any of them, so the cupboards were still full of them. So you see, there really is a need to go shopping, right? Keiichi, I'm not asking you to go shopping. Both Mommy and Daddy have to go to Tokyo right now because of work. Huh? Right now? This is really abrupt. No, we're already there. Here. We left this afternoon. It's quite a distance of Tokyo from Hinamizawa. Gunning at full speed down the highway would still take 6 hours. Dad has a license, but since he doesn't like the highway, they luckily took the train. It would have taken longer. I'm thinking you might understand since you heard us speaking last night, but it has to do with Daddy's contract. Right now, things aren't going so smoothly. Now that you mentioned it, I did remember that they talked all the time about how his job prospects weren't looking so good. Daddy is really sensitive about things like this, so if we leave things as we are, it will affect his work. Part of my father's peculiar, fragile, artistic personality, his emotions changed as easily as the fall sky. You could also say he couldn't take criticism. But something like that can be done over the phone. Keiichi, this is your father's job, so can you support him a bit, please? Anyway, it's just faster to talk about it in person. So there won't be any misunderstandings. As their son, there was nothing more I could say once they started talking about work. So we'll be back tomorrow night. Keiichi, will you be fine on your own? It's not like I'll die or anything. Keiichi, you shouldn't speak so lightly of dying. If there's something troubling you, just talk to us. I believe Mommy will be able to help you out. Yesterday I did bring up if I died rather abruptly, so I suppose they were a little worried. But really, I was more depressed by the fact that nothing would be solved by telling them. But I didn't plan on dying. At least not while I still knew nothing. I would never allow it. I won't die. I won't. I'll survive even if I have to gnaw my legs off. Yeah. See you then. Tomorrow morning, make sure to wake up. And eat your breakfast. And don't forget to take a bath and brush your teeth. Yeah. See you. The call ended like that. Oh my god, I just had fucking deja vu to a gif. Oh no. Something my parents went off to Tokyo for business meetings. Sometimes. But Tokyo was far away. They normally did things by phone. The times they did go were normally planned out, but in advance it never happened as suddenly. I couldn't say that those circumstances didn't feel savage or strange or unnatural. Anyway, I only needed to recognize the reality of the situation. That tonight, I was the only one in this house. That when my parents came back from work, I'd be gone. Missing. Vanished. Looking back at the series of events of the previous 5 years involving Lawyer Shirosama's curse, it wouldn't seem that strange at all. Come to think of it, it was getting pretty late. I didn't think it was good to that the only light on the whole house was from my room on the second floor. It was the same as broadcasting the enemy that my parents were gone and this was their chance. First, I ran into the living room, flicked on the lights and turned the TV to a reassuring volume. Next was the study. I simply turned on the lights and some music. With this, from the outside it would look like my parents were here. Once again I went through the house, checking to see if there were anything left unlocked. When I saw the veranda and the laundry still hanging out there, I went pale. That would have made it too obvious. I need to take it down. I snatched on the laundry haphazardly and raised all traces that my mother wasn't there. It should be fine now. The garage! They hadn't gone all the way to Tokyo by car, but they had gone up to Okonomiya Station. The garage was empty, wide open, and in plain sight. That was not good. I panicked and rushed to the back to close the garage door. It should be fine now. I need to get the paper. Mom always got the paper since they left in the afternoon. The evening paper was still out there. My premonition was correct. I put everything in the mailbox and dropped it in the entryway. With this, for sure this time it should be fine. I'm gonna think of it, leaving the cupboard busted like that from my little freak out was kind of bad. I'll just say I tripped and fell and the bat was holding the bat I was holding smashed into it. Even so, just leaving it in the current stage wasn't good. I should clean it up a bit before Mom gets back and scolds me. I remember that there was a broom in the dustpan in the closet. As I was going to get them, the phone rang once again. Hello, this is the Bye-Bye residence. Oh, is this Keiichi-kun? Is your mother around? She isn't here at the moment. You idiot Keiichi Mabara! Don't reveal that your parents are gone. You can follow up still. Calm down and take care of it. I think she'll be back soon. That wasn't a good response either. Now they might call again to tell her to call them once she comes back. Then that's fine. It wasn't anything important. Well then, sorry to bother. The scenario I feared didn't play out, eliciting a sigh of relief. That call was fortunate in more ways than one. I'd have to deal with a lot I'd have to deal with more telephone calls coming in from my parents tonight. I was somehow able to deal with the phone call just now, but I couldn't continue to rely on such poor improvisation. I indeed need to make up a good story and claim that my parents were home, but couldn't answer the phone at the moment. They were making tempura and couldn't step away right now. That wasn't good enough. They were sick and went to bed because they weren't feeling well. Was that going to be safe enough? I was thinking about it on the way back to my room and the phone rang once again. It was like they were calling because they knew I was going to lie. I didn't want to pick it up, but I knew I had to. They just expected my parents weren't there. I should have just taken the phone off the hook and under the presence that I didn't realize that it was. But since the phone rang, I had to pick it up. I prepared myself and lifted up the receiver. Hello? I stopped on announcing that this was the Maibara residence. I had no reason to be kind to someone I didn't know the identity of. But unlike my encountering voice, the person on the other side sounded goofy and lighthearted. Hello! My apologies for calling so late. This is Oishi from the Okinomiya bookstore. Oishi-san? Is that you, Maibara-san? Good evening. Good to hear that you're doing well. Wait just a moment, please. I grabbed the portable headset and rushed to my room with it. It was the same no matter where I was, since there was no one else in the home, and I wanted to be in a spot that just felt a bit safer when speaking on the phone with Oishi-san. Sorry for the wait. How are things? Anything changed since then? Since then? What was that exactly? There was something about the brazen way he talked about that rubbed me the wrong way. The last time I spoke with Oishi-san was 2 days ago. The day I stayed home from school. I met Oishi-san on the way back from the hospital, and we headed into town for lunch and had a talk. Then after that, Rin and Mian came to check up on me. Whenever I spoke with the Oishi-san, they always knew about it. It was like that since the first time I met him. Today's phone call still may be found out by them as well. Hello? Can you hear me, Maibara-san? Huh? Oh, sorry. What did you say? I asked if anything's changed since last time. There wasn't an answer, so I got a bit worried. Not really. The words stopped in my throat. There was a ton of stuff that happened. All of it baffling. What should I talk about? I didn't understand any of it, but I should try asking. If I didn't ask how, I may have never get another chance. This might be where my parents... This night when my parents went home, I had no guarantees that I would make it through the night safely after all. Well, Oishi-san, it seems that someone is after me. Really? It could just be a coincidence, but that day I missed school when I was sick, the two of them came to check up on me. Which two? Rina and Mion. They started asking about how I had lunch with you. What next? They left me some mochi when they came to visit, but there was a needle inside. Fortunately, I somehow didn't swallow it. I wonder, could that have just been a threat? About the needle. Was it one of those common Suin needles you see all the time? It was just one of those common Suin needles you see all the time. There was a whole thread sticking through. Not that, Maibara-kun. The needle itself. That's evidence. It could be used as proof that they threatened you. Where is the needle? That's right, that's it! I dropped the receiver and rushed downstairs. When I tossed the mochi, I had overlooked it out the terror, but that needle was a valuable piece of evidence. I had certainly thrown the mochi and needle at the wall together. If it was there, then it would be on the living room wall. But my prudent mother had cleaned that living room wall, and there was not a trace of mochi left on it. Could it be that it dropped in the gap between the wall and the carpet? I frantically searched by running my palm through the carpet, but nothing turned up. I tried moving around the sofa and desk, pulling out the carpet and flapping it around. But I couldn't find the needle. Did my mom clean up everything without noticing it? It was just 2 days ago. I didn't know what day they collected the burnable trash, but it may still be in the trash bin in the kitchen. I rushed in the kitchen, opened up the lid and the pail, and poured out the contents. But even at a glance, I could tell it would be incredibly difficult to find the needle in this trash. I was looking for a needle in a trash sack. I know, I'll try running my hand through it. It was a bit gross, but I was looking for a needle. If I felt a small prick, I'd be able to find it. It was a pretty tactless method, but it was the quickest. I held my breath in and started striking the pile of trash with my hand. Flew throughout. There was nothing more disgusting than this, but it was not the time to be concerned about such details. I continued on, but nothing turned up. I wanted to search more thoroughly, but I was still on the phone. I shouldn't keep Oishi-san waiting for too long. Well, later, when Mom gets back, I'll have to ask her if there was a needle. I hastily began scribbling on the notepad affiliated to the refrigerator with a magnet. Was there a needle? I scrawled the words with a red pen. I then dashed up to the stairs where I had been keeping Oishi-san waiting far too long. Hello? How'd it go? I couldn't find it. I was really overwhelmed back then, and I see. It would be great if you could find it. Keep it safe. That's right, the needle wasn't the only incident. I had to tell them about the morning with the hit and run. Also, Oishi-san, that isn't all. Actually, this morning, that van was definitely aiming for me. I could say that without question due to the circumstances at the time. Did you see the license plate? I can search for it from here. Damn it! I just flipped out and yelled at him back then, but I didn't think to look at the plate. What failures on my part with the needle and the plate number. It was so focused on protecting myself that I left some sort of gap in the important slip and the words. I punched my pillow how annoying and worthless I was. I'm sorry, I don't know much more than that. It was a white van. Nothing to fret about, Maibara-san. Anyone would be shaken up after being hit. I guess all this really isn't a coincidence, is it? Oishi-san started to hem and hum on the other end. I could imagine him folding his arms. Also, Rena's acting strange. How so? What Rena said on the way back home today, asking why it was so much like Satoshi-kun. Now I could say it with confidence, that Rena knew what happened to Satoshi. She knew that there was more to it than him just simply disappearing. Rena knows. She knows something regarding what happened to Satoshi, the kid who was demoned away last year. What would that be exactly? Rena said that I was the same as Satoshi. She said something to the effect that the way things are going, I'll end up the same fate as Satoshi. Fate, you say? Exactly what kind of fate did she say would befall you? Transferring out, she said. Transferring out? Rena said Satoshi transferred out. So given how things are going with me, I'll transfer out too. Oishi-san let a stern sigh and then grumbled loudly. Maibara-san, that's probably some sort of threat. Or maybe some type of warning. I thought so too. At that point I started to think. Would it be prudent to sum up everything that had happened up until now as the machinations of some human perpetrator? Other than that theory of it being Rena and the others, I was left with Oyashiro-sama's curse actually existing as the only other explanation. Holy shit, it's already been an hour and almost 10 minutes. Of course I couldn't tell that to Oishi-san. Except Rena's strange behavior could be proof of either scenarios. Whether it was Oyashiro-sama's curse being real or everything being part of the conspiracy committed by all the villagers. Rena was involved. Rena had to know something. Rena was suspicious. What exactly was Rena? I couldn't help but think she was somehow involved with the prior string of mysterious deaths. I seem to recall that Oishi-san had admitted that he had dug into Rena's past a little. He was probably just downplaying it when he said a little. Meaning, well, I didn't mean to right-click, whoops. Meaning he had actually dug pretty deep, most likely. I wanted to hear about Rena. I wanted to know what happened to her previous school, among the other things that were still unknown to me. If Rena was somebody I should suspect, no, not that. I wanted to know the truth. Tonight I was alone in this huge house. Even though I said I couldn't count on them, I had lost the security I felt had just my parents being around. It wasn't like this house had some sort of fortress or castle. If a malicious person decided to use brute force, they'd easily gain entry. There was no other residence close to the Maibara residence. No one would be able to hear anything, no matter how loud it was. I had never felt as much resentment towards my father's artistic temperament and the fact that he had this house built in such a remote location as I do right now. I wondered if I should still be here by tomorrow morning. So I had to ask. Right now. Because I had no idea when the next chance would come. Oh, Yusan, I have something I want to ask about. Please don't keep anything from me. Sure, ask away. Even though he was so far away on the other end of the line, this is the most reliable he had ever felt. Someone's ringing the doorbell, man! We're fucked! We're fucked. We're dead. This is the end. This is probably the last episode. I wanted to ask about Rena. About what happened to their previous school. Actually, regarding Rena's... I noticed a sound that had been going on for a while now. Since I was so focused on the call, I hadn't paid attention to it at first, but I finally realized it was the doorbell. The time was 7 o'clock. It was past the time the postman would be making a delivery and past any sensible time for a neighbor to be visiting. I considered just acting like nobody was home, but that wouldn't be good. That would ruin all the work I put in by making it look like my parents were home. I needed to answer the door. Hello, Maibara-san. Sorry, someone seems to be at the door. I'm gonna go see who it is. A guest? I see, my apologies. Should we end this phone call now? Oh, I thought he was acting as if his parents were there. He's just talking to himself. Hello, Maibara-san? I'm sorry, someone seems to be at the door. I'm going to go see who it is. A guest? I see. My apologies. Should we end this conversation now? That would be a problem. No, I'll be back in a second. Do you mind if I just leave the phone on? It's fine, I don't mind. I dropped the handset on my bed and dashed down to the door. I needed to make up a good excuse and get them to leave. I had a hunch that it was a lady who called right before Oishi-san did. Dude, grab the baseball bat! Dude, grab the baseball bat! It's fucking somebody evil, I swear! 7 p.m.? No way, boy! We dead, boy! We dead! We dead! In this case, it would just be one of the neighbors who's friends with my mom. I'll just say Mom isn't feeling well and went to bed early. That would be the easiest option. Grab the baseball bat, you fucking idiot. Oh no. It was hard for me to hard for her to ask me to wake up my mom if she's not feeling well. The bell continued to ring at irregular intervals. If someone didn't answer after you rang the bell so much, you'd normally give up and go home, wouldn't you? Without moving the chain, I opened the door slightly and peered out at the visitor. A chill ran down my spine. I knew it. Somewhere deep inside, I had prepared for this moment. I tried to escape by imagining it was the easiest person to deal with, one of my mom's friends. It's fucking Rena, isn't it? Oh, it's Rena! Good evening. Rena. There shouldn't be any reason for Rena to come over at this hour. The timing also made me feel uneasy. Because it was out when I was about to ask Oishi-san about Rena. I wish I could have chalked this up to a mere coincidence. But those unsettling words from Mion several days ago echoed back at me. There's nothing this old man doesn't know. We're fucked. Are you alone, Rena? Yeah? It seems that Mion wasn't with her. But that didn't change the situation at all. Why did you come here? Hey, Keiichi-kun, I'd like you to open the door so we can talk. Can I come inside, I wonder? It was true that speaking through a chained door wasn't the right way to talk to a classmate. But at my house, the chain has to be on at night. Don't worry about it. Then it can't be helped, I guess. Rena pouted rather sadly. But she kept smiling at least, and her effort to keep that smile was quite pitiful. Even though she was tugging at my heartstrings, I did not lower my guard. We're fucked. She gonna kill us. We're dead. As long as I stayed like this, even if it made my heart ache, my life wasn't in danger. What I really feared, more than the possibility that hoodlums would assault me if I removed the chain, was trusting Rena enough to remove the chain and having my friendship betrayed. As long as the chain wasn't unlatched, even if it made my heart ache, I wouldn't have to deal with being betrayed by Rena. Since it didn't seem like I'd removed the chain from her silent urging, she appeared to give up on it and try to get into the entranceway. Have you eaten yet, Keiichi-kun? No, I haven't eaten. Since my mom wasn't there, the dinner wouldn't be ready no matter how long I waited. I laid down when I got home and woke up by the phone, and didn't have a chance to eat since I used up all that time talking. I was going to have a cup noodles in my case, so I could just eat one whenever I wanted to. No, not yet. What about it? Hey, that's good! Like here. I brought a bunch of dishes. Rena held out a stack of boxes wrapped in cloth. If I could use her kitchen, I can heat up the miso soup and other stuff. It's fine, you don't need to do that. But there's a lot of tofu and vegetables in it. Does Keiichi not like that type of stuff, I wonder? Oh. Just 1 second. My throat is... It's like full of phlegm. I've gotta get something down to get rid of it. Fucking. Woo! Some good shit. Okay. I wonder. Oh, I'm scared. Super scared. I think we're gonna die here. There's no way I wouldn't like that. I love miso soup with lots of ingredients. With white radish, carrots, burdock root, and potatoes. Dense and fibrous root vegetables. Yeah, that miso soup looked incredible. I also brought rice, so if you microwave it, you can eat it really quickly. Without a doubt, rice needs miso soup. With stuffing rice down your gullet, slipping miso soup in between ravenous bites. Oh yes, how wonderful it is to be born Japanese. Also, I made more pickles. I made sanai pickles this time. Before I had moved here to Inamizawa, I scoffed at the mountain vegetables called sansai. But I was captivated by their charm by the first time I tried them. Such a deep yet light flavor. The vegetables in the supermarket were tasteless and bland compared to these. If you had to describe them, then they were the vegetables for that for the uninitiated. To become an expert such as myself, you first have to partake of sansai. It was common knowledge around here that the Ryugu family traditional pickles were wonderfully delicious. No matter what kind of pickles they were, they'd go well with that fluffy white rice. And also, but wait, there's more. So delicious, seems so delicious. Dude, she's gonna kill us. Farewell to my unhealthy self-food that he'd do with cup noodles. Rena appeared to be in good spirits and she was offering such a delicious-sounding dinner. The stress evaporated from my gut and hunger reared its voracious head. At the same time, my wariness of Rena suddenly dwindled. Oh, you fucking idiot. Rena did say she was alone. It shouldn't be a problem letting her inside. Though the possibility that it was laced with poison still hadn't been ruled out. At that moment, a cold chill ran down my spine once again. Oh no, her eyes are gonna change. I couldn't understand why such a sensation had occurred just then. The music changed! I can hear it! But the voice inside me was sounding the alarm. The happy Rena speaking of this charming dinner was dependent on one premise. And that premise was that tonight dinner hadn't been made at my house, meaning it was under the assumption that my mom, who should be making it, wasn't there. At any normal household, 7 o'clock would be around the middle of dinner time. If my mom were here, we'd be eating dinner around this time as well. The fact that she brought over all the makings of a meal this time was inherently strange. Unless she knew. Rena. Did she? Did she know that my parents went home? But there was also the chance that this was a bluff. I had to turn on the lights and a bunch of other stuff to make it seem like my parents were here. There was a chance that Rena was unsure if my parents were home. But I had to wonder. The laundry, the garage, the evening paper. There were plenty of signs of them being hastily tidied up. It was hard to say that Rena didn't have a chance to determine my parents were here or not. But there was no reason for me to confess that right now. I should try holding on to the fact as long as I could. First of all, the chain was still latched. But as long as I didn't take it off, Rena wouldn't be able to do anything to me. I'm quite grateful, but dinner will be ready pretty soon. Huh? Is that so? Is that so? I know you went through a lot of effort and everything, but, well, unable to think of a good way to refuse, my words trailed off weakly. But some of this would work as side dishes, I think. Sorry, we have more than enough already. My mom always makes quite a few side dishes. So... Wait for it, I'm waiting. Huh? You have side dishes? With a smile that bordered on a cringe, I dodged her questions up apologetically. I'm waiting for her to go mode, you know? So spooked! But that feeling I tried to ignore began creeping upon my back again. I spoke as if my mom was setting down dinner right now, but it didn't mesh well with what Rena was saying. Rena was talking as if she was aware of some obvious fact. And that I was aware of it as well. So Keiichi-kun can cook. What did you make, I wonder? No, well, it's not like that. Rena had assumed out of nowhere that I had made the dishes. No, not so much that as I made them, but rather that my mom hadn't. Did you really make them? The side dishes? Did you, Keiichi-kun? It wasn't me who made them. My mom did, so... No, she's making them. Right now. So, you see, I'm sorry, but I can't eat with what you brought. Rena held silent at the moment. At that moment, I felt like the light had suddenly disappeared from her eyes. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Mad mode. How about I try guessing what Keiichi-kun's dinner will be? It doesn't matter what I'm going to eat. Let's see. The conversation might appear natural at first, but Rena was firmly in control. It felt like I was being interrogated. Your dinner, I wonder, is there something that can be made with just hot water? Hey, now stop it with the insults. I can't believe you'd belittle my mother's extravagant dinner like that. Tickets sold out. Full capacity already. It's that amazing. I tried my best to put on a strong front, but I couldn't grip my teeth quite right. So instead, I looked like someone who was borderline hysterical. But Rena showed no reaction whatsoever, even to that silliness. Keiichi-kun, did your mother really leave you dinner? No, you see, she didn't leave me dinner. She's making it right now. It's almost time for dinner. Rena had taken that assertion of mine, that my mother was home and making dinner right now, and completely ignored it. I could tell that more than I panicked, the colder Rena became. Hey, Keiichi-kun. At that moment, an uncomfortable chill crept in the gap of the doorway. Is your mom home, I wonder? I wonder? I couldn't keep up this charade anymore. Rena, she knew full well that my parents weren't home. But I'd come too far to admit that now. Anyway, my parents were here, and we'd be having dinner soon. That was the situation I had concocted. So I answered. I told her she was here. She's here, of course. I could feel the humidity drying out from the surrounding air. Rena's eyes were becoming more frigid, piercing me with her solid glare. She's gonna kill us, dude. Why? What do you mean? I tried acting casual, but that facade was torn off the instant I'd looked into Rena's eyes. That look, it informed me of Rena's response faster than she could open her mouth. Why have you been lying to me, I wonder? I wonder. Oh, no. I'm not lying? That's a lie, isn't it? It's not a lie. She's gonna scream at us, isn't she? Oh! Lies! Rena's outburst sent out a jolt surping through my body. Ren and I were still separated by what few inches that slightly ajar but still chained door could afford, but despite that, I was still being cornered. My house, which I'd considered a safe haven until now, had become more like a dark alleyway where no one could save me. Shall I guess your dinner, Keiichi-kun? Let's see. I knew now that Rena had already known that my parents would not be here tonight. But it was still so strange that it just come to this. Even if I somehow knew that my parents weren't home, there was no way she would be able to guess what I'd be eating tonight. But Rena said she'd guess. How could she guess it? How could she know it was instant? Cup noodles. That's right, isn't it? That I was going to eat it! Wait, the cooking repertoire of a man who can't do housework is probably nothing but cup noodles after all. Looking at this statistically, it was most probable the answer. That didn't mean she was guessing. I don't think you'll be full with just noodles. I think having rice and stuff will definitely hit the spot. Calm down, Keiichi, my brother. This was just a coincidence. Rena was just reading certain tales of mine. So the fact that she was inferring that I was thinking alarmed me. But it wasn't as if she was reading my mind. If it was being read, then she was a demon. No, not a demon. Things like that, they couldn't possibly exist. Do you like them? Do you mean noodles? No. What is that? This made this whole situation just like weird. I don't know what that word is. Ren indicated that the point my answer was addressing was wrong. Her rebuttal was so short that I momentarily didn't understand the words Rena had spoken. Sorry, Rena. What did you say just now? Huh? About what? Just now you asked me if there was something that I liked, didn't you? It wasn't long before I regretted how carelessly I'd pushed forward with that question. It was such a simple answer that was why I wasn't able to comprehend it. Oh no. Pork bone and ginger flavor. We're fucked. Get fucked, Keiichi. Get fucked. I wondered how I appeared in the moments of my mind went completely blank until that moment I was able to recover. As my field of vision began to distort, slowly swirling in a counterclockwise direction, I lost all sense of balance. Why do you know that? I didn't even deny it. That was the type of frenzied state I was in. How could Rena even know this? Not even caring as I mashed my head against the door, I fixated my gaze on Rena. But she didn't even flinch when she saw me do that. I certainly did buy them. I bought a bunch at once. I bought a whole case? How could you know that? Oh no, not that smile. Why, I wonder. Quite strange, isn't it? Isn't it? How could you dodge the question at a time like this? The chain at the door suddenly was no longer protecting me. How do you know? Why do you know? Answer me! You bought them at Smart 7, didn't you? A shiver ran up my spine. I tried covering it up with angry facade. Like I said, why do you know that? I was behind you, following you the whole time. What? We're dead. We're dead. It's over. It's over, guys. GG's. What are you saying? I couldn't understand why she was saying what she was saying when she'd been following me all this time. That's because Rena was right behind Keiichi-kun's back the whole time. Heh 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 heh. Like that night? That night I was absorbed in my phone conversation with Oisa-san. I didn't even sense her being there, standing behind the door, behind me, standing there just like that. When Keiichi-san was picking up the noodles, I was watching the entire time. You picked out so many different flavors, didn't you? Then your mom got angry. If you were going to pick the expensive ones, then you should just pick one type, she said. Then Keiichi-kun picked out the big box of pork bone and ginger flavor that he loved so much, didn't he? I like it too. Pork bone noodles. I can never eat a whole big bowl myself. My brain was paralyzed, dulled in my senses. It might have been a defense mechanism to diminish the fear I was feeling to non-traumatizing levels. With fear being diminished, the fog enveloped my mind was cleared away. Then I could understand what Rena was saying, and started to put meaning behind her words. Even so, my fear hadn't been subsided completely. I was standing at the edge of a cliff, eyes closed so I didn't have to look down. It didn't actually solve the basic problem. I slowly took a step backwards, and as I drew, Rena advanced. So, Keiichi-kun, can you open this? We can eat together. I'm sure it's going to be delicious, so, okay? Rena's pale, slender fingers squirmed through the crack in the door, one at a time, as if they were had a mind of their own, rattling the chain. As she unhatched the chain from the door, a feeling of terror would have just exploded within me, if she had. Rena didn't do that. She was simply imploring me to remove the chain. She was doing her hardest to fight the fuse to the powder of the keg in my heart, trying again and again. Clatter, clatter. But it doesn't light. It doesn't light. Open up, Keiichi-kun. Please, go away. I beg you. Please, go away. How can you say something so mean, I wonder? Please, go away. Go away. Oh, and he's yelling at her now. Oh, shit. The powder keg inside me finally went off. No smoldering. It just exploded. I would yell that go away, but I have people in this home that are probably trying to sleep. So I tackled the door. The force through the door had knocked Rena momentarily off balance. I couldn't hesitate here. I grabbed onto the doorknob with both hands, planting my foot in front of me and pulled with all my might. But that slamming sound I so desired didn't happen. I could feel a tiny disturbing bit of resistance keeping the door from closing, and the source of that was Rena's fingers. Even each of those fingers squirming around like tendrils of a carnivorous plant through the crack in the doorway. It hurts. It hurts, Keiichi-kun. It hurts. Oh. It wasn't a harsh shriek, but more of a yelp she was trying to keep back. Go away. Go away. Go away. I kept on pulling the door with all my might. I didn't even realize that I didn't loosen my pull on the door, at least momentarily. Rena wouldn't be able to pull out the fingers out, and that was why the door wasn't closing. It really hurts, Keiichi-kun. I'm sorry if I was messing around too much. Oh. I didn't care one bit for her apology. No matter how much she apologized, it didn't change any of what she had done up until now. It didn't change anything. It hurts. It hurts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go away. Go away. Oh, and now he's yelling at her. Rena couldn't leave, even if she wanted to, because I've trapped her fingers. Rena's white fingers have become deep red and were no longer even squirming. Oh, ow, ouch. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go away. Oh, I'm assuming this is just gonna go on forever. Rena's apologies were occasionally twisted with pain, but like a broken record. She was intent on repeating it over and over. Go away. Go away. Go away. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I pulled on the door even harder. Finally, Rena's fingers were somehow able to slip out from their imprisonment at the doorway. The moment that happened, the door closed soundly and I could hear the thud of Rena falling on her butt on the other side. I locked the door immediately. I made a loud chunk, voicing my rejection to Rena. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she's gonna keep repeating it over and over, right? Keiichi-kun. I'm sorry. Open up, Keiichi-kun. Rena leaned back against the door, apologizing profusely and nothing else. After confirming I was sufficiently sealed off from her, I trudged away from the entranceway. On the other side, I could still hear Rena echoing her apology. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. These pitiful words. They would be forever seeking my forgiveness. I didn't feel bad about it at all. But that wasn't out of any sort of malice. I just felt a sort of hazy sense of relief that I was finally able to escape from Rena. Before Mion had threatened me at this doorway, saying there was nothing else she didn't know. And just now, at the same place, Rena told me the same thing. My feeble attempts to disguise the fact my parents weren't home and had served no purpose from the start. I should have just pretended to be out and not even opened the door. My meager plans hadn't helped at all. In Hinamizawa, it was impossible to outwit them. Even though I was on the other side of the door, I wanted to get far away from Rena as possible. One step, two taps with each one, her sniveling apologies became more distant. I sprinted out to the stairs and dove into my room. As you would expect, I finally no longer able to hear Rena repeating her endless apology. Am I still on the phone? Diving into the bed, I was startled by the lump I had felt. Hard lump I felt. There was something on my bed? It was a receiver. I finally remembered. I was on the middle of a call with Moishi-san. Looking at the clock, apparently not much time had passed since I went downstairs. Could it be that my clock had run out of batteries? I had talked with Rena for so long. How did almost no time pass? But the hand on the clock was ticking forward 1 second every second as usual. As I pulled the still warm receiver on my hand, which felt frozen, began moving once again. Hello, Moishi-san. Sorry to keep you waiting. No, not at all. I didn't wait that long. It became apparent that the amount of time had passed, so I keened myself, and Oishi-san was different. Over the phone, I could hear an energetic voice from a sports program or something. It drove home just how far away Oishi-san really was. Rena came just now. Did she come to play? I wasn't confident that I could coherently explain the situation to Oishi-san. But I didn't need to right now. Right now, I need to know about Rena. That's right. I was planning to ask Oishi-san more about Rena, but Rena's little visit had interrupted this conversation. What was true and what was false, I couldn't tell. The one thing I knew was the single grim reality that Rena was suspicious. I might be able to figure something out if I asked Oishi-san about her. If I asked Oishi-san about her. Up until now, I had regretted whenever I forced myself to ask about things. It was better off not knowing. But looking at it that way, I could say I'd hit rock bottom. There was no possible way I could feel any more regret than I did now. No, rather, I wanted to know if there was anything beyond this point I could regret more. Forget about tomorrow. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility for something to happen tonight. I wanted to know everything I could. I was absolutely not going to die like this. Not knowing anything, I definitely won't. Regarding the Rena Ryugu-san, I did a bit of digging. Yeah, well, it wasn't much. I understood that Oishi-san was talking in circles. A bit meant I dug so deep that it'd be hard to discuss with you since you're her friend. I want to know everything from your research. I don't think you'll be very interested in what I have to say, though. Oishi-san. I spoke as calmly as possible to Oishi-san, who was continuing to avoid the issue. And then I said it. I think Rena Ryugu was suspicious. Even if the past incidents from Oyashiro-sama's curse, Rena Ryugu is involved. Do you have some sort of proof that makes you believe Rena is suspicious? The manner of which Oishi-san spoke became very firm. Do you have some sort of proof? That was him talking as a detective. I only have circumstantial evidence. I see. I could tell even over the phone how disappointed Aoishi-san was. Pulling on the fishing line when he felt a bite, only to reel in the bait. Disappointed but ready to cast the line once more. That's how it seemed. Oishi-san, you can't do anything without physical proof, can you? What I meant was, you can't come and save me without proof. I stuck that barb in there. As Oishi-san loved roundabout ways of saying things, he understood me just fine. It's fine, my Bada-san. I'll protect you. That was not the least bit reassuring. Oishi-san just used me to continue his investigation. I was just going to get killed, and my corpse would be the important piece of evidence. That's all I was to him. Whether I'm alive or dead may be no concern to your investigation, but it's all over for me when I die. Oishi-san went silent at the other end of the line. That may have been too blunt, but I didn't care. All I needed to relay to Oishi-san was that I was currently in a very dangerous position. So please, tell me. Tell me about Rena. Satoshi transferred out. Not too far in the future, I'll probably also do what Rena called transferring out as well. But you won't be able to find my corpse. You haven't even been able to find Satoshi's body yet. Alright, my Bada-san, please calm down. I was already suppressing my agitation, even without Oishi-san having to tell me. Oh god, I'm so jumpy. Damn it. It wouldn't solve anything if I continued to scream about my mistrust on the police. You know, it pains me to do this, but I'm gonna put my headset back on. The music itself sounds weirdly distorted. I don't know why, but whatever. Probably just my headset, actually, honestly. It wouldn't solve anything if I continued screaming about myself, mistrusted in the police. It would seem that I could only depend on myself. Actually, this is getting annoying. Just keep it off. I would seem that I could only depend on myself and the bat Satoshi left behind to protect me. Then, at least I want to know about what happened before Rena transferred to schools. You're aware that this won't be very interesting, right? Oishi-san, realizing my resolve couldn't be swayed, finally caved. Right now, to me, there's nothing that I'll find uninteresting. Please. There are a few things I need you to agree to, okay? Please keep this confidential. Also, part of this may be speculation. Not all of it may be true. Are you still interested? It might not be true. I don't understand what you mean. There isn't one main investigation for the mysterious chain of deaths in Hinamizawa. Each one is treated as its own individual case. Thus, Rena Ryugu has never been linked to any of the investigations. Basically, you see, this isn't an investigation of Rena done by the police, and is a personal inquiry, is what you're telling me. This will make things a lot quicker since you understand. All of this is from either phone calls or meetings and interviews, so they aren't corroborated. I'm asking you to take this all with a grain of salt is what I mean. Do we have an agreement? All of it is just from what you've heard? Yes, my apologies. It's all my personal investigation, you see. That thing. Before you said you saw Rena's chart, didn't you? I'm sure I heard you say it. Oishi-san paused for a moment on the other end of the line. I told you that too? Please pretend you didn't hear anything about that. I didn't care about Oishi-san having certain obligations and responsibilities. I also didn't care if there were no proof. Even if they were just rumors, there's no smoke without fire after all. Please tell me, Oishi-san. Understood. Oishi-san finally opened those tight lids up. So let's go. We're gonna hit like 2 hours soon. It seemed that Rena lived in Hinamizawa a long time ago. She had moved to Ibaraki Prefecture after she finished elementary school. Then following that, right after transferring, the unfortunate incident with breaking off the school windows happened. Then Rena confided to the doctor. It was Oyashiro-sama. This was all that he knew. There isn't much difference between what I know and what you know, my Bada-san. Then what part did you investigate further? I didn't need to ask. It was the incident that happened just after she transferred. The incident Rena was responsible for, and what she divulged to the doctors afterwards, correct? Yes. After you learned about that, you started suspecting Rena and the others, didn't you? Yes, I did suspect them. Yes? Okay. Weird. Yes, I did suspect them. So they're the ones after all. No. That's not what I mean by suspect them. Oishi-san was the type of person to say things with confidence, but these particular words were less than reassuring. Then who did you suspect? That it was Oyashiro-sama. So he's crazy too. Huh? That Oyashiro-sama's curse really exists. Yeah, right, well, Oishi-san's laugh was quite dry, certainly not the kind that would make you want to join in. Oishi-san resumed the conversation about the dubious circumstances behind Satoshi's disappearance, the course of events up until the start of delving into Rena's past. Just then, there was thunder in the distance, and a heavy rain started pouring down. It came without warning. Rain so heavy it felt like it could beat you down. I had left the window in my room open to crack to let the heat out. The violent winds danced into my room, making the curtains flap wildly. What is it? Nothing. It suddenly started raining heavily. Sorry, please continue. I got up while still on the phone and closed the window. I said at the beginning it was an incident, but because neither the school nor the victims filed charges, the police were never involved. So you see, those involved were very reluctant to talk. Regardless of there being a victim who had one eye beaten so badly that it had permanently damaged. It could have been the school or possibly some individual who made arrangements to keep this from going public. Also, the psychologist was very strict about their professional ethics. Hello? Maibara-san? Can you hear me? There was the figure of a person standing by the light near the mailbox this whole time. Even in the torrential rain, they didn't have an umbrella. They were unquestionably drenched from head to toe in this shower, which more resembled that of a waterfall, droplets of water dripping down from her hair. Just standing there, both arms dangling at their side. In one hand was a stack of boxes wrapped in cloth. Her eyes focused on my room, focused on me as I was about to close the window. Her mouth was methodically repeating chewing motion, as if she had something hard to chew in her mouth with her cheeks puffed out. What could she be eating over there? How could it be at this time I was more enthralled by Rena instead of the shocking developments being brought to light by Oishi-san? If it hadn't started raining, I wouldn't have gone to the window. Then I wouldn't have noticed Rena, nor would I have noticed that. Rena's mouth was moving in the same pattern. She wasn't eating anything. She was repeating something. What was it? Was she repeating to me? What was she saying? And why was I right up against the window, fixated on her? Hello? Maibara-san? Can you hear me? Hello? I'm sorry. Maibara-san? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What? This is Rena. Hello? Maibara-san? What's the matter? Even in the torrential downpour, Rena was still apologizing. The other self inside me drew the curtain hastily with my right hand, blocking my view of the outside. But even doing that, Rena Valencia's apology still reached my ears. I'm sorry. I'm not reading all of these apologies. I'll forgive you for this, but will you forgive me for that? Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. I'm sorry. I'm done with these apologies, yo. There's so many here. Holy shit. Damn it. Why did I have to forgive her? I'm the one who wants to be forgiven. What part of me can't you forgive? I won't be killed. If you won't forgive me, then I won't forgive you either. I won't forgive. Won't forgive. Won't forgive. Whoa. We're going crazy too. Maibara-san? If you can hear me, then please respond. Hello? Oh, it's the end, I think. I think it's the end. This was really long. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it as one big episode, because it's been a while. think it's going to show us tips, yeah? 2 tips. Split personality at the Smart 7. Okay, so instead of reading those tips, because we've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes, I'm going to end the episode here. In the next episode, we will continue on with Higurashi no Nakokoloni Onikakushi. Things are getting real dark, really messed up, so I'll see you guys next time. SkyPF may be out.